Doing this, Kev.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's Saturday night. Usually an AEW pay-per-view would be on a Saturday night, every 3 or 4 months, but no, it's on a Sunday, and the anticipation is brimming to the top of our nerd brains. Who's gonna show up? Is there gonna be an exploding barbed wire death match? Yeah, but who's coming to AEW? We'll find out. It's a special edition of 2 Dynamite dudes with attitudes. Also, their name is DeAngelo.
Holy smokes, what an intro by Kev Kellam there. Thanks, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. I'll tell you what, I was coming into this a little lukewarm, but now I am all the way turned up.
Welcome, everybody. You're feeling it more than Tully Blanchard right now.
So I don't think anybody was feeling it more than Tully. Holy cats! What a way to come back. He looked like $1 million in the ring, Dominic. But we'll get there. This is one of those shows, man, where it's hard to think about where to begin because there was just so much going on. But I think that the right way to approach it would be let's start with the main event. But before we do, guys, welcome to 2 Dynamite Dudes with Attitudes. I am Marcus DeAngelo. I'm playing host this week, and I'm joined by my slapdick brother, Dominic DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com. And we're rolling on quite an episode of AEW Dynamite. Dominic, overall, what do you think of the show?
It was a great show, great go-home show. Not a whole lot to really criticize. I don't think there's like maybe a few things I'm sure, but wow, it like from the opener to closing out was all pretty darn good. Mark, what was your overall thoughts on it?
I thought it was pretty good too. I would say that probably the main event was probably the least strong match, and it was still pretty good. Wasn't crazy about the big clusterfuck at the end.
Yeah.
But I think that Matt Hardy looked about as good as I've seen him look since he came to AEW. We're displaying a lot of talent there. Some up and comers in John Silver and Mark Quinn, and Hangman Adam Page looked like $1 million as always.
Yeah, dude, he delivered on it too. I think I can't get over how awesome that opener was. I thought, for how much criticism, what is it like? Kind of upcoming speculation we had of it, and where we questioned how it was going and the direction. We can always talk about how suspect the build was and things like that. I think wow, I think it paid back in dividends.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I would have expected, what, screw it. Let's just get right into the Shaq stuff. I would have expected that match.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing of the show.
You're probably right. I would have expected that match to appear later on in the show, but I mean, talk about a move to make that the opener for the show. And if you've got an audience, that's one way to keep them captive right out of the gate with something incredibly interesting.
100%. Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And Shaq had such a presence, I thought, and Cody, with the power bomb and the freaking spear through the table. I mean, or the crossbody through the table. Holy shit, dude! It was good.
Well, Shaq was working like a big man, and it's funny to see a guy like him come in and instantly know exactly the right thing to do as a big man. I think that whoever smartened him up leading up to this match probably pushed that initiative. But I think a lot of other big guys in the business could probably take some notes from Shaq and how he behaved in this, because he worked the way that a big guy's supposed to work, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they planned it out and everything, but they made Shaq look like $1 million, and Shaq and left a lot of intrigue. I thought they ended it perfectly. And Shaq just selling, just being out cold through the table, I thought was great. As far as the ambulance, what the hell happened with that? That was one thing that got me a little scratching my head a little bit, Marcus.
We did some David Copperfield shit there at the end. We open up the back of the ambulance and Shaq is gone. But yeah, I mean, I thought that the fact that he was taking bumps, that which I don't think anybody expected to see him go through a damn table. I know I didn't expect it. So I mean, you could honestly with that match, the way that he behaved, again, working like a smart man, where he's on the offensive for 90% of the match and really not taking bumps until it's needed. All of that stuff, you combine all that together, and I think you can make a strong argument that this is one of the better celebrity wrestling matches that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, aside from which got a little bit of a buzz going on was Pat McAfee. His performances in NXT have been like unbelievable. But yeah, Shaq, I mean, just the name cachet and his connection to wrestling throughout his career too. You add all that into it, it really it exceeded expectations, I feel. Like very much so.
I'll tell you who else exceeded expectations in that match, Dominic. How about Jade? I thought that she looked like $1 million.
Yes. I agree with you. What a presence! I would put her even like you've been comparing her to like Lex Luger in certain ways. From like a physical appearance, physique, eye popping to what her mic skills may be and things like that. I thought she exceeded Luger's in ring presence, even like as from a debuting standpoint. Well,
my whole point was that, she up until this match, she was Lex Luger to me. She's got this great look, a great physique, like on paper, the perfect pro wrestler, not very strong mic skills. You could really draw comparisons between her and Luger. But now that I've seen her in action, she's a better worker. So, I mean, obviously the mic skills are a huge thing whenever it comes to being a star, but there's workarounds for those too. She can get better at it. Or they give her a mouthpiece, and the sky's the limit for a talent like Jade. Big fan of hers now.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I was like, and Shaq. I mean, I didn't know. A coworker at my other job pointed out that Shaq paid tribute to Brody Lee before that powerbomb.
I noticed that as well. Yes.
How awesome is that? Like, just that's such a strong, powerful connection that you want to make with fans, ardent fans too, nonetheless. And Shaq was in on it and he knew it. And so I think that not only, him paying tribute to Brody in that regard, but that elevated the game for it all too. And just made it more, I'm sure made people appreciate Shaq's presence being on the episode of Dynamite.
And, talk about speaking volumes about the respect that people have for Brody Lee. You've got one of the most noticed and recognizable athletes on the face of the planet paying homage to him. So I thought that was a really nice piece of business there. Dominic, you're frozen on my screen. Are you still there?
I'll do the run-in, dude. Run-in.
What's up here, Kev?
What's up? Where are we? How about this Shaquille O'Neal jumping in the mix? But I mean, really, that match was about Shaq doing his thing, right? I'm gonna let Dom get off screen here and hop back in a second. Let him rejoin us. But that match was it was about Shaq. He's the thing people are gonna be talking about, right? But Jade Cargill, as you talked about, Red Velvet comes in here with a lot more experience. She comes in from Ring of Honor. People thought she was underutilized there. I heard Bully Ray this week on SiriusXM talking about how he was saying, lock her down when he was there to people in Ring of Honor, and that didn't happen. But Red Velvet did the business. She really understood. Let's get Jay going here. She has a lot of personality. Look how she commanded the camera in this scenario where really it's about Shaq and Cody. There's going to be this big thing. It's going to get us a bunch of attention. It's going to bring in all these extra eyeballs. And it's true. The segment, that specific match, which opened the show and was about 12 minutes, scored 1.1 million viewers and is one of the highest watched Wednesday night quarter hours of 2021 so far.
That is an unbelievable stat. That's something I wasn't familiar with, but I think you made a good point. We didn't really touch on Red Velvet or Cody for that matter. I think both of them did a really nice job of putting over the two talents that were there to be put over.
How about this question from Carl? Carl's with us live. If you guys are with us live, go and shut off.
Look at that.
Your
look
questions
at that.
here.
Question.
Will Shaq cost Cody the ladder match? Shaq wasn't in that ambulance. They wanted to do that report to check on Shaq inside the ambulance. He wasn't in there. Will there be a Shaq attack on pay-per-view? We're already expecting two big surprises, and obviously, I think that the weird thing is the surprises for this pay-per-view are bigger than they've built up more expectation through the surprises than they have the actual card, which has an exploding barbed wire down. Leave it to wrestling fans to be like, no, let me speculate and be right, so I can tell my friends they were wrong.
I'll tell you what, I'm seeing earlier here that Carl also asked, and this is kind of the elephant in the room. Who are going to be the two surprises tomorrow? Ladder match participant and new signing. So, to me, Kev, we saw Kurt Angle. He posted something very interesting on Twitter a little bit earlier today. He would kind of slide nicely into that ladder match spot, in my humble opinion. And who knows who the big Hall of Fame level signing is. Now, I think a lot of people are saying, well, it's got to be Kurt Angle, but Kurt Angle's already in the Hall of Fame. The Big Show, or rather Paul White specifically said this is a talent that's Hall of Fame worthy. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it. What are your thoughts on that?
Other people, Herman German Suplex Qatar is saying it is Kurt Angle is one of the surprises. Now, Kurt posting that video today. Just the day before the pay-per-view. There's other people who are noting that in that same video, which you can see, it's at WrestleZone, it's on Kurt's socials as well, and is that Kurt is wearing his WWE merch. So if you were to sign him and he's not out there in his own just ring gear, he's in merch, some people think, well, is this an allusion to something else? Could he here's the thing, if Kurt wanted, everyone thinks, oh, this just means he's going to AEW. The timing certainly would lend you to believe that. Here's why I'm going to not lock in 100% with anything. Kurt could go to Japan and make real great money if he wanted to. He could go overseas and make real great money. The Australian market just opened up. There was just Tame Impala, one of the biggest rock bands in the world, just ran in arenas there. There's already speculation that how soon is New Japan going to book shows in Australia where they've dealt with COVID very, very well. So if you're going to go and do those new English-speaking markets, you're going to want English-speaking stars. So I could think you could bring over Kurt Angle, pay him a whole ton of money, have him only do a tag match, and he would be a draw for you in that market. And there's talk of specifically New Japan doing that already.
Well, you're right.
And here's the thing: it's all speculation. And this is I don't mean to run into this, Dominic.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
But we're talking the two big surprises. I think Tony Khan and the AEW team, a brilliant, masterful move. The week of a pay-per-view to play off hardcore fans, make them your megaphone, is make them guess who's going to show up. It's the Royal Rumble. Who's going to return at the Royal Rumble? And there's plenty of free agents that are very big and very Hall of Fame worthy. But the thing is, as you mentioned, Kurt Angle's already in the Hall of Fame. He's already in the WWE Hall of Fame, the most prominent and popular wrestling Hall of Fame, whether or not anyone likes to admit it. There's other ones that are great. All right. They're very, very, very reputable and special in all their own ways. But that is, to most wrestling fans, recognized as the Hall of Fame so far. And so that's where I think you can rule Kurt out, maybe. But here's the thing. You can't rule out anyone. Dom, who's showing up on Sunday? Who are the two big surprises? We have one in the ladder match, and then Tony Khan has specified there's another one.
Yes. So to your guys' point, well, to Kev's point, I didn't hear Marcus's, but Kurt Angle, I think it's a red herring. I think it's a total red herring. I think, it's just a little teaser video. Who would do that? Who would do that if somebody's coming up and you're wanting to like have this big surprise? Nobody's going to put a hype video before that. Hey, I'm coming. Like I'm looking for a return. And to that point, Bully Ray did the same thing. He did another video too. So little bit of hype there.
And Bully would do that. Bully is the type of guy who would want to mess with people and play that game.
So, Kev, I don't know if you saw this on our speculation on our WrestleZone chat that Marcus is strictly not invited to, but
We can't have them. Only one DeAngelo allowed.
VIP. VIP. Very important. Lots of news gets discussed behind the scenes, everything. But what
locker room talk.
Locker room talk. Well, locker room talk.
This is getting worse and worse for me. I'm hurting right now.
But okay, Hall of Fame worthy. Nick makes a real good note here about CM Punk. This is where I threw it out. I threw this out here, okay? WWE, from your guy, I think it was from Robert DeFelice's perspective, that WWE has not really been promoting Young Rock that well, or it has a presence on there. Plus, Rock is not in the Hall of Fame. Tony Khan said on Busted Open Radio,
this is insanity, Dom.
Mark Henry, you'd be excited to hear this one. Mark Henry would be excited. Who's a former Nation of Domination members? It's Mark and The Rock. I'm just saying, like, how wild would that be if The Rock? I'm not putting my eggs in that basket.
Let me unfortunately take out the media professional assault rifle and just snipe that one off on the field here. And here's why.
What are you implying here, Kev? That I'm not a media.
I'm putting this together. Rock is a bigger producer now, maybe than he is a star and anything. And now he's a football promoter. So he's promoting the XFL, which is still very much, mind you, he owns it, right? But he owns a majority stake in it. WWE's still involved in that because they're in bed with NBC Universal, and NBC Universal is going to want to stream this. And XFL, to many people, speculatively, is being seen as it's going to be a streaming-only thing. We're going to try and put it behind the Peacock paywall. You want this football league, you get football when there isn't NFL. That's what it's going to be, right? And that's the idea, the alternative football league, right? And that's going to be deeply involved with NBC or any other group like that. I don't see Warner Media with TNT, mind you, they have BR Live, being in that field. They have some things that they do, but here's why I say he doesn't want to cross that line. He's already doing a show on NBC Universal. WWE signed a $1 billion deal with NBC Universal. Rock is doing the Fast and the Furious franchise through Universal. I don't see him stepping out of bounds and going over to Warner Brothers.
I think, I strongly, and I'm sticking with Kurt Angle being the surprise entrant in the ladder match. And here's why. Here's the final wild card, is that he has a relationship now with Conrad Thompson, thereby having a relationship with AEW. So it's, to me, it's kind of a layup that he's going to wind up being the surprise participant in this ladder match.
You think he's going to be in the ladder match?
Yeah, I don't think that he's the new signing. Obviously, he's probably going to sign a contract, but the new signing that the Big Show is referring to is probably going to wind up being someone else. Paul White, damn it. That's what I keep meaning to say. Not the Big Show. No more BS, Dom.
No BS. Except the shirt tucked in. I really like that that tactic that he went with.
That's a real dad move. Tucking in a
right
t-shirt.
back to the 90s.
Come on, Marcus. You're the only father in the room. That's a real dad
Yeah, do you
move.
tuck your shirt in now?
I have started to do it, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on now. What are you doing?
Black belts and the Monarchs, the Nike Monarch shoe.
with the khaki shorts.
That's great.
If I'm gonna be bending down and picking up these crawling kids, I'm not gonna have my feet hurt.
I'll tell you what, we're getting some interesting feedback though. Surprise 1, Axe. Surprise 2, Smash.
What is this, the Royal Rumble in 1989? What is
this is happening.
Bill Eadie's coming in there.
Bill Eadie. You mentioned the Big Show thing is he's the one who announces that there's going to be the surprise in the ladder match, and Tony adds that there's going to be another one. And my thing, guys, I think Show wants to take all the momentum he got as a debuting guy jumping from WWE, and many people thought would be a lifer. And he's the spoiler. He's the Hall of Fame worthy guy.
I think he is.
Yes. And he comes in and says, I'm a Hall of Fame worthy guy. I don't want anyone younger than me telling me I have to step aside. I'm everything I ever always was. I'm going to come to this ladder match. I'm going to wreck everyone. I'm going to terrorize Darby. He's going to have a feud with the new generation. It's going to be the old guard versus the new guard. That's
okay.
He's going to go.
My pushback against that is we already got the announcement that Big Show signed or Paul White signed, and that would be a huge. I think I'm excited. Big Show's in.
That would be the spoiler for the ladder match. Like that hit would be. Yeah, he comes out in the ladder match and wrecks everything. The big surprise though, the big who showed up surprise. At this point, that's got to be ending the pay-per-view. Don't you think? It's got to be your final closing moment. Is this person signs with insert big name $1 million signing here is signed with AEW, and also maybe that's why they wanted to make sure they got ahead of 2 weeks ahead of Big Show signing with them. They didn't want his signing to get lost in the shuffle.
Nick mentioned CM Junk. Anybody think that he's going to wind up showing up?
Dom, I'll let you feel this. I didn't mean to take over your show. I was just
No,
jumping.
thanks for doing it. Actually, no, I think this creates a little more buzz happening. But I think
2 Dynamite dudes and Kevin.
You know what? It's been 3. It's been 3 these past couple weeks here and there. So
okay,
nothing different now.
But CM Punk, what do you think? I mean, we'll run down the big names here, and we'll get into some other ones. I don't mind this because this is the thing that wrestling fans love to do the most.
Sure. So CM Punk is nipped it in the bud already. Now take that for what you will, but he's pretty direct when he says he doesn't do stuff. So I mean, but that's the nature of pro wrestling too. You say something and hey, that doesn't necessarily happen, you know. So, but you know, I mean, that's the name to get is that one besides The Rock or somebody. But like, do I say it's CM Punk? I'm gonna go. So my prediction. Do you want to hear what my prediction is? Have you guys given your predictions of what it is?
Yeah, we're running down the names that everyone's shouting about, and we'll kind of dig into whether or not it can happen. So.
Okay, so I'm saying yes. CM Punk's is a good one. My prediction. Now I know he's already in the WWE Hall of Fame, but Tony Khan said it's one of his favorites, all-time favorites, and Bret Hart happened to be on his Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. So I'm going to say maybe Bret Hart because Hall of Fame worthy talent. They didn't say it was going to wrestle actively. This person's committed. I know it's a bit of a wild card out there to say Bret Hart, who obviously can't wrestle anymore, but is such a strong, legendary name. I'm just going to put my eggs into the Bret Hart basket for this one. Just kind of go out there a little bit.
Hey, Carl just made another great point. Are there any Hall of Fame worthy female free agents? My mind goes to Mickie James.
Well,
she's still under deal.
Now Tony Khan on restricted, he said it's a male. It's a male.
So it would nip that one in the bud.
Yes. They emphasized that.
Mm-hmm.
So and also there was some clarification that this is sort of confusing and lends itself for a lot more interpretation. Is Big Show comes out on Wednesday's Dynamite, makes this big announcement. This is his debut. He alludes to it. He kind of botches the name of the pay-per-view, whatever. It's not the point here. And he said Evolution, so some people wanted to subplan. Oh, it's a someone from the women's side of things because everyone's trying to like make their own thing with it. And I really think, as I mentioned, AEW benefits from this. They benefit from people being their echo chamber and their megaphone. And so it gets even bigger. And you guys have already mentioned The Rock. We've already mentioned CM Punk. I think CM Punk would be massive. This is the one they wanted at All Out, their first pay-per-view in Chicago, one of the biggest wrestling markets in the world. I'm biased. I'm saying that as a Chicago guy. I was at StarCast. Dom, you were there. The word was CM Punk's going to be at StarCast. He's going to do the sit-down interview, and he's going to say he signs with AEW. And that's what people wanted to see. They wanted to see CM Punk is taking his talents to Jacksonville. That's what they wanted. They wanted the LeBron James moment, and it didn't happen. And you and I know this, Tom. From talking to people with StarCast and talking to people that were involved with the convention, there was a lot of resentment. A lot of resentment from the AEW side of things that the featured name on StarCast, the convention that is piggybacking off of their arena event, was really built around a CM Punk pay-per-view interview. And they were very resentful of that idea. CM Punk has also said, you want to do business with me, don't do it over text. Like, there's another way to do this. So I don't think it's a done deal. I also think Punk is a guy who said if he does want to come back, he only really wants to do it with real fans. He really wants to sell tickets and do it with fans. So that's why I think the timing is right for Punk to come back now, as we're moving into this idea of live events coming back in some scale or another, and he would actually be able to perform in front of live fans.
And now, Kev, to that point too, and this is what made me think of the CM Punk aspect to him saying, like, no, I'm going to be at a Blackhawks game, or like I'm going to be watching the Blackhawks game. Is that at StarCast he said flat out, him and Conrad both said flat out, hey, I'm not going to be at. They already were like, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there. And fans got deflated by that. They still had those expectations. The kayfabe is still very strong in some capacities, Dom. So, and that's I think you could make the argument that CM Punk is kayfabing people when he says 100%.
It's not like the cons don't have the money, right? Guys. It's not like they don't have the money here. You know what I mean? And it's not like this is a guy who isn't. I don't want to say healthy. I don't know his physical state of things, right? But he would be the one if this show ended that people would be like, holy shit. Even
Absolutely.
if they predicted it, it would still be shocking to know. When Moxley showed up, we knew it was coming, right? And when it happened, it was like, holy shit. The perfect mixture of anticipation, speculation creates a big bang, right? And he's a revolutionary guy. There's a bunch of shit starting he could do with them. And there's a bunch of people he has unfinished stuff with. And a lot of possibilities. So I think Punk would be the best one. The other one is Brock Lesnar.
I was going to say, yeah. Marcus, what do you think about that one?
Well, you could certainly make the argument that that's going to be the outcome. Free agent, multi-million-dollar signing. So all the pieces kind of line up for that to be the case. Somehow I suspect that that's not it. I think Batista's still on the table. I don't know what John Cena's contract status with WWE is like. Tony Khan's got the money to throw around to bring in some really massive names. I get the feeling, I'm not exactly sure where I got this from, but I get the feeling that it's not going to be Brock Lesnar. Dominic, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Brock Lesnar maybe has more of a chance than Punk, I would say. Yeah. Just for the simple idea that, he's not actively doing anything. They could throw that money at him. And like Brock Lesnar, like Robert DeFelice of WrestleZone.com, is a mercenary. So I feel that he could he's willing, if there's a price, he'll take it, man. Now he doesn't have any
Brock. We haven't seen Brock since WrestleMania last year.
Yeah. Right? And have they hyped him at all?
His deal ran up. And then there's this now where you see every Tom, Dick, and Harry wrestling news site with a Z. Ours is a zone. It's not just simply news with a Z.
No.
Any website with news with a Z, not reputable.
Jabroni.
Don't want to go there. Don't want to go there.
So I saw a couple of just these Facebook groups, right? And they were all like, there was one, it was just like, here's Tony Khan with a briefcase full of money, and here's a PNG graphic of Brock Lesnar and the AEW logo behind him. And their implication was that he had signed with him, obviously. And the caption was, well, his merchandise is off of www.shop.com.
Ooh. Hey, I'll tell you what. Carl just threw out one that I would love. Kevin Nash. What's he up to these days? Is he in good health? Probably not. But holy smokes, I'm the biggest Kevin Nash mark out there. So.
Kev, I don't know if you've heard the episodes, but Marcus and I talk how great Kevin Nash would be on commentary.
Of course, you guys have WCW rewritten every Thursday.
That's right.
See, why did I become the host where I'm like plugging all of them?
Yeah, Kevin, tell them how they follow me on Twitter.
You can follow Radio. We're going to be top of the hour. We're going to be out at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in the suburbs, and you guys can get a beer koozie.
Now, hey, listen. The thing that could really be a seller for Punk is the indirect connection that Renee Paquette has with AEW, John Moxley's wife. She interacts with AEW. She has had the interviews. I mean, she's interviewed The Miz too and stuff like that. But she's loving life right now. She's pregnant and everything like that. But her and CM Punk had a great dynamic. I don't want to know what you're laughing about. But CM Punk had a great dynamic on backstage. They loved hanging out with one another. So I mean, if there's any other connections or any other strands that people want to make a connection to, that's another one you can kind of think about.
Well, I don't know if you guys want to continue to talk about this subject, but I think we should certainly touch on the press conference situation and the numerous run-ins that we got there. Do we have any other predictions or thoughts that we want to get out on the subject of the
you know what, dude? I love this. I think I'll do another pop-up stream before the pay-per-view tomorrow afternoon. We won't podcast it for you guys catching the audio of this, but I think it's a fun thing when we really, really don't know. And maybe I'm questioning the professional relationships of some people, but I definitely think a guy like Dave Meltzer may know. Our friend over at Fightful.com, Sean Ross Sapp, maybe he has a scoop there on the ground. But we've tried and we've asked, And this thing is ironclad. They want to protect this. And also, I think for example, Dom, you and I knew about Edge coming back to WWE about a month before that was announced. And we were asked to be mum about it. And it is so hard to be quiet about something so exciting. And then host 4 shows a week, and like dig into it. But yeah, it's definitely exciting. And anyone who knows what the surprises are going to be at Revolution, good on them for keeping the secret though too. We're still fans. We still want to be excited and lose our minds.
That's what's cool. We don't get this that often, like that kind of unknown. Hey, what's happening? Like Big Short. I mean, Paul White floored us like when we heard he got signed, and like it just came out of nowhere. So it's really cool to think about. I loved the speculation idea of it. I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know if you mentioned names before when I got cut off, but like RVD is another name that's been tossed around. Chris Hero. Chris Hero's another guy like that could show up in the ladder match. Just a lot of good like available names that
Ethan Page is no longer in the contract.
Ethan Page. Now I like Ethan Page, but I think he's got to establish his brand and name a little bit more than what was on Impact. So I think anything to that effect, if he showed up even in the ladder match, might be a little flat. No offense to him whatsoever, because I think he's got like a lot of star potential. I just don't think that's gonna like catch that zing of like, oh, Ethan Page came out. A lot of people aren't gonna know who he is. I don't think at this point. I think he's still got that. If he comes out, makes a debut and wrestles his way up, I think that's a more effective way to debut Ethan Page in maybe this ladder match.
And by the way, this is something that I mentioned from the start with AEW, Dominic, on one of our early episodes. The way that you kind of get an audience to want to tune in week after week is the same thing that WCW did back in the 90s. And that's make it where we don't know what's going to happen week to week. We don't know who's going to be coming out week to week. So it makes it exciting. It makes it must-watch TV. Just like this press conference has become kind of a must-watch situation. When they say that there's going to be a press conference or a town hall meeting or whatever they want to call it, we're like, oh, what legend are they going to bring out for this? And so we got Eric Bischoff, as we seem to always get for these situations. But how about Conrad Thompson doing a little run-in?
That was pretty nice. That was a pleasant surprise. It was neat that him and MJF tied back their like little feud that they had at one of the Starcasts. And then, I thought it was a good way to interact with, you had the guys from Barstool Sports there, you had Conrad, and then you had obviously Eric. So, and then I think Jericho played off his role very well in that and was pretty darn clever in his delivery and everything. So I thought it was a very good segment and pretty fun.
How about you, Kev?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was definitely it's a talky segment with multiple people. Sometimes those are very challenging. You've seen these in WWE. You've seen them in AEW too, where they do it with multiple people talking and just kind of falls flat. Nothing really pokes through. But I thought Jericho and MJF's timing was quite good because you have to have that bounce back and forth. That has to be very, very smooth, and every line has to kind of hit. Remind me of good improv. You guys are theater guys, where the ball really has to bounce, but it has to bounce really loud when it goes to someone. And I thought they did pretty well with that. And also the surprises were cool. Bischoff came out and delivered a fun line that was definitely kayfabe in the sense of how bad of a mistake are you making by pissing off the Young Bucks this much? And then the Young Bucks got to come out and do the torch waving thing where it's like, hey, we're look what you did to our father. We're going to chase you up the mountain, Frankenstein, and they got to be physical and make them look strong. Loved it. It was good guys, bad guys with fun little swerve there with the press conference segment. Makes me want this match more. It's got to be the number 2 most anticipated match on the pay-per-view. I think Young Bucks win the belts. That's my take. I mean, they leave retaining these titles. Yeah. And this adds further dissension to the cabal of egos that is the Inner Circle.
Marcus, now I'm curious specifically your thoughts on Matt Jackson promo. What did you think? Did it sell you? Did you buy more into him like as a likable baby face? Where did that lay on for you? Exactly.
I'm on the fence in many respects. I think that they really raised the stakes for the match. Before it kind of felt like kind of sort of a lukewarm setup until Chris Jericho and MJF obliterated Papa Buck backstage, made him a bloody mess. So I thought that certainly upped the stakes. The whole like putting their dad over as they're coming to the ring, talking about like all the things he's done for them. What a great guy. Felt a little bit like the lead up to a middle school fight where I was, you're like, say, so my dad can bench press 300 pounds. my dad can do this. He's like this, and then somebody throws a punch and there's a breakup. So it sort of felt a little bit like that, but by and large, I thought it was a nice segment, good setup. And again, we're kind of kicking this can down the road as far as making it a little bit more interesting. I'm with Kev though. I think that the Bucks are going to retain.
I'm with you guys on that. I also think the promo itself, it did get you. I thought it put Matt and Nick in a more, to your point, to the stakes. The stakes are higher. They felt higher. It gave Matt some meat to chew on with the, all that kind of thing of, having strong delivery and conviction and belief in his dad and what he stood for and all that stuff. So I liked it. I liked the segment and thought it was really rock solid. One of the highlights of a very good overall Dynamite, I feel.
Oh man, James putting over our Twitters. Appreciate that, James.
Mm-hmm.
What a guy.
We need all the help we can get.
Yeah. He's always with us, man. I spend more time talking to James on the internet than I do my family now with the pandemic. So good on you, James.
You can find James.
We're saying his name, but we're not saying it the way we should.
Yeah,
say
you got it, Kev.
James Espanto Fernando. Why? All right, you got it. You got to do it. Got to do it.
Beautifully done.
Got to do it that way.
He was on here last week, and Marks and I couldn't do it justice. So no,
we're just.
We gotta have me tape it. I gotta tape it and send it to you guys so you guys can use it on the show.
So we'll just insert it in when you do live shows. Mark, what we got next?
Well, so I think that really the other big thing that we should be talking about here, let's talk about FTR, and more specifically, let's talk about Tully Blanchard coming out for the first time. We're having a wrestling match. What was it? First time in 27 years or something.
Yeah, it was wild. Over that, it was like 30 years. It's been
tons of shenanigans in this match. So many shenanigans.
A lot of shenanigans, but
yeah. JJ Dillon was out there because they gotta remind you that Tully was in the Four Horsemen, and then Tully did the slingshot suplex, which was this really, really cool move. They did the I think JJ tried to hit someone with a boot, and then they cut it off, and they go to commercial. And then the ending is some guy with a photography camera who we can't see hits him with the camera and pinfall. Right? It was schmozzy, but it was fun.
Oh yeah.
And the post match was kind of cool as they reveal kind of like a new faction. Because Tully was managing Sean Spears.
Yeah.
And he was managing FTR, but you almost never saw them appear together. So now they're just telling you that these guys are a faction, right?
Yep. Yeah. And so I feel like Tully's in the management role, the JJ Dillon role, if you will, of this new faction. So if we're doing the Four Horsemen thing, we need another member. Dominic knows who gets my vote. It would be Serena Deeb. Any other guesses as to who should be the fourth member of this little group?
Boy, I don't know. Like maybe it could be whoever debuts in the ladder match coming up here. You could. There's a lot of. I think if it's going to be somebody, it's going to be somebody new into the company. Like I don't think they're gonna,
give someone else the rub. Give a new. They got to have. If this is Evolution, they got to have their Randy Orton there. They got to have. Yeah.
Speaking to a friend, coworker at my other job, he was hoping like the idea that maybe Cody would join them, and
didn't Cody made some allusion to that, didn't he? Didn't he do that like a couple, like sometime last month,
ago, wasn't it?
Months ago, and they never brought it up again.
And
he made some like illusion and did like the 4-finger sign, and even in this segment we're talking about here on Dynamite, Arn came out on the stage and just threw up the 4 fingers at them. Arn Anderson is managing Cody, so maybe they're going in that direction. I don't know. Maybe Arn wants to combine that group with him.
Well, James makes a good point here. This group needs a Ric Flair if you're going to do a new Four Horsemen, and who better than Cody Rhodes in that role?
I have someone who's better.
Name it.
The NWA World Champion Nick Aldis.
Woo! All right, never mind. You win.
And Nick is NWA is launching their own weekly show. And it's going to be on Fight TV. It's going to be Power, like we saw on YouTube, but they got beat up by the pandemic really bad. And he did some media rounds. We didn't get to talk to him at WrestleZone, but we've talked to Nick before, and he's made it clear. Yeah, I wrestled it all in, and that was the pilot episode of AEW before AEW was really a thing, so that Tony Khan could show to media investors, like, hey, look, we can do this, And so Nick was a huge part of that. He was probably part of one of the bigger, if not the biggest match on the show. And he drops the title, and then Cody wins it back. So they have a working relationship with NWA. NWA Women's Champions are already featured there. Thunder Rosa is featured there. AEW, the doors are open. We'll feature select talents and go back and forth and work with all these other companies, right? What a better way to do that. What a better way to do that. Are you telling me FTR wouldn't want to be on that Atlanta TV set, cutting those promos at a podium? They're throwbacks. These guys love VHS wrestling, all right? And they are of that era and want to be a part of that era. And this would thread them in deeper into that and would be quite the trade-off. I think they'd have more fun there than, hey, go do a tour of duty in Impact Wrestling. No, they would have much more fun on the NWA set than they would anywhere else if they were going to leave Dynamite as their main show.
Kevin, that aspect plays to Marcus's point of that element of surprise that delivers week in and week out. Hey, who's going to show up on this show? Who's going to show up on that show? Impact's kind of had that vibe. You've had New Japan, you've had Finn Juice show up there, and you've also obviously had Private Party and Matt Hardy be there. Sammy Guevara was going to be there, but it didn't happen. But it's like there's more to that. So if you bring NWA in that unique, awesome setting that they have in Georgia, down in Georgia there, at that public station, I think it creates a whole.
They work a public access studio.
That's a little depressing.
I want to.
Hey, you work it. You get everyone on camera. What's the problem?
I want to see Antiques Roadshow take place a little bit off to the side. Dude. You bring in an old memorabilia relic and stuff, and somebody weighs out the price and coughs in your face, something to that effect.
Well, so the other thing that I think is important to talk about. First, do we have anything else that we want to say about it? Let me say this about that Tully Blanchard involvement. I was very curious to see if he was going to sell for Marco Stunt because that does not seem like a thing that Tully would do. And
he's an old man; he can sell for Marco Stunt.
Well, he didn't.
I don't. He didn't, and that was the one thing I took away from it. I was like, Jurassic Express. We didn't even mention them, and we didn't even mention these guys bumped around the ring. It was a 6-man tag match. There's so much talk about them. Jungle Boy being the Jurassic Express is just a holding pattern before they really want to put the rocket on him, right? And Marco will play a role. Marco will be an underling and do all these different things. But I mean, Tully's out there, a guy in his 50s or 60s, doing some fun stuff, and it's a goof. The thing's a goof. Sell for Marco. Sell for him.
No, don't sell for Marco.
I think no. Do business. Marco's gonna get in there and bump for you. Give him something, even if it's a comedy spot. What's the difference? You got JJ hitting people with boots. You got people hitting someone with a camera. Kev, you can't sell for the little guy.
Kev, if you do that, you're downplaying indirectly you're downplaying legitimacy of Tully Blanchard by doing that. Like as a manager and just as a legendary presence. I think it's he's 60 something, but you still want to keep him strong. And if you have him sell,
he's not going to wrestle again.
It's going to look more.
What would it hurt him? Would it hurt would he suddenly stop being a Hall of Famer if he sold for Marco Stunt?
It's a near equivalent to when Sean Spears had Tully Blanchard on his underwear crotch. Like that's what it is. And look how much that I think took away from Sean Spears' character for a while. And that's a character that's trying to build himself. We're talking about an established talent as Tully Blanchard that has been reputable.
Marco's going to be in the ring or be around the ring for the next 10, 20 years.
Marco is positioned to where he's positioned.
Sure, I don't think but he's going to be an active character on the show. So give him a rub.
I wouldn't give him have him. If you want somebody to sell to him, get I don't know, somebody that's a little like Serpentico. That's who I would get.
Well, so let me split the difference between you two. I think that there are ways that he could have sold that would have been believable and acceptable. So you could sell the comedy. How about Marco doing the run between his legs or something?
Exactly.
Okay, I buy that.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with it. If that's what Marco's role is, selling
physicality, I don't necessarily agree with, but selling the comedy of Marco Stunt, I think would have been a happy medium. But
that's such an old tough guy mentality of wrestling.
Well, that's Tully Blanchard, though.
That is Tully Blanchard.
But here's the thing: you can't have this swinging standard. where it's like, oh, in this match, it's okay. In this match, no, not Tully. But in this match, it's fine. It's like it swings left and right. Our standards change. The referees count matter in this match, and they don't. I get it. But they get the double standard. But I'm also like, come on, give them something. It was a great match, though. We're nitpicking. It was a great match.
One of the things that made me really curious about it the whole time was not necessarily if Tully would sell for him, but like basically if he had sold for him, then that had to have been an initiative from Tony Khan. Because based on everything that I personally have heard about Tully Blanchard, there is no way that he would volunteer to sell for a smaller opponent just because he is that old school guy.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that. And, let me say, too, like, I think Marco did a good job in this match. Like,
he played his role perfectly.
Played his role very well and, like, did a great job. I think got his spots over and everything to that effect. So, like, no, I thought it was a well-played match. I thought it was, it balanced that comedy with the established, like, tag team of FTR with a legendary manager such as Tully, and then having JJ Dillon in the mix too was very cool as well. So yeah, I liked it overall.
All right, guys, I've got two more subjects I want to talk about, and then we can call it an evening here.
Well, we got to do the predictions too.
Well, yeah.
we can drill through that. We can drill.
We can do it all. I'm here for the next 8 hours if you need me. Let's talk about Nyla. Taking the L to, I believe they pronounce her name Ryo,
I think.
Ryo Mizunami. Okay. Mizunami.
Yes.
That is the Eliminator tournament final. They've been doing this one bracket in Japan, one bracket in the United States. Over the web series, they did one that was just on YouTube for the Japan side, and then did it through Dark, and had a handful of matches on Dynamite. So a real test for the production crew, definitely to get that show converted from Japan and do everything there. But I don't think I'm in the minority here that you're going now with a tournament final on this pay-per-view this weekend. That is Hikaru Shida versus Ryo Mizunami. And I think it's going to be a good match, but I don't think it's going to be a match that people aren't going to pay attention to with everything else going on in the show.
Agreed. I think that this is, Kenny Omega, he runs the women's division, allegedly. That's been the rumor. And so with that being the case, I think that he has a very particular preference when it comes to wrestling styles, and the Japanese style is certainly a big part of that. So I think that what we saw here was him taking advantage, not taking advantage, that's the wrong way to put it, was him pushing that initiative forward, saying like, hey, I really like this style. I think that all of our champions should have this style. And I mean, Dominic, you and I predicted it before. Whoever wins this tournament is going to be the next AEW champion.
Yeah. I'm not as sold as that on now. I don't think, the expectation to have like a Thunder Rosa, I think was really there. And
those are week to week characters.
Those are week to week characters that the national
core, none of the core
Dynamite is
familiar with.
Sorry. That's okay. No, that's what we know. So you're throwing these talents at us that Hikaru Shida we're aware of, but like from the Japanese side of the women's division, Ryo is somebody that we're unfamiliar with, and I figure having and like those styles that she and Nyla have are hard hitting, and they kind of displayed that. I wasn't a huge fan of the match necessarily, but it was clunky, and I felt Ryo was trying to get herself over, but it wasn't. I don't think it was clicking as very well. Like a lot of delayed spots, brand new character.
Here's the thing.
Still very raw.
Almost a million people watch this show, right? Mm-hmm. How many people are seeing her for the first time and don't watch the web series? There's still a massive disconnect between those two. And you can say on commentary and cover and all those different things. And for the Dynamite audience, they are receptive to that. Like, we've heard of this person. Tell us more about them on commentary. Fill the gaps. And Excalibur and their team does that. And this tournament was supposed to be like, hey, they hear it. We know our women aren't comparable to what NXT has. We have strong women, but we don't have strong characters. We have a handful of them, but we have this. They have a handful of characters that you can name. They have many talented female wrestlers. No one's competing whether or not there's great athletes there, but the characters are very limited. You know what I mean? The characters that they have that they can tell stories with. The thing is here, we're going back to Joshi wrestling, and we're going back to a lot of characters that all feel similar, and that's no reflection of them. Some of them stand out. Maki Ito did in this tournament. She looked really cool, was quite the character, and could talk in matches, and was like a real shit stirrer, right? Yeah. And I was surprised they went with Mizunami, and probably someone that no one thought was going to win this tournament. I get it. Surprises, cool stuff. But move the needle, guys. Move the needle. Go. This is something where I can say I don't think AEW listened to the majority of their fans that would have liked a hot, explosive, provocative character. And I'm not being sexual. I'm saying a character who pisses people off, or at least moves the needle, like a Britt Baker, like another Rose, or like a Maki Ito. And I don't think they went in that direction.
I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head, and that's so collectively, it seems like fans, at least based on what I've read on Twitter, it seems like fans were like, oh, Serena Deeb got eliminated, bummer. Oh, Britt Baker got eliminated, bummer. Yeah. But at least we still have Thunder Rosa. Oh, Thunder Rosa got eliminated. At least we still have Nyla.
Look, it got progressively less interesting, I think, for some fans in that regard. But I get it. You're trying to make somebody, and maybe you make Mizunami out of this. Maybe you just put the belt on her. But is she just a transitional champion for someone that maybe more fans are going to get into? Who knows? But at the same time, I don't think many people are asking, who knows? Like a big question. They're asking, who knows? And you don't want to be shrugging your shoulders about something like that.
And this is not meant to be mean or anything like that by any sort of the imagination. But like you put that match, like you take that match and you carry it back like to a year ago or like 7 months ago.
Different story.
It very much feels like the undercooked. What we're still waiting on the women's division of AEW. Like this particular match in particular, if you put it there, it's like what's going on with the women's division. That's what this match kind of felt like.
But the point you're making is that as of late, that has not been
the case whatsoever.
It's been explosive, exciting. Maybe some of the best stuff on Dynamite.
Marcus, we say it week in and week out. Like they're delivering. Like the women's division is delivering from Thunder Rosa to Serena Deeb to Rio. To like Britt Baker, lots of talent, and even untapped talents so far, like Ty Conte and Anna Jay, who's hurt now, and Penelope Ford, like just a lot of names that can really get in the mix and that you want to see.
And this result feels a little bit like throwing a bucket of cold water on that progress.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It does.
And also a bucket of cold water on it in the progress because you open the show with the women tied to the Shaq match. And you really make Jade into this big world beater heel that you need. I think they need big heels. But here's the thing. It's the one thing I go back to with AEW all the time is, come here and you get to do all the stuff you want to do. If you're Kenny Omega, who's a fan of Japanese women's wrestling, he gets to have his own little playground and be in the main event. Yay! It's indulgence. It's indulgence in this way. And I don't think it's indulgence where this benefits them in terms of listening to what the fans, a majority of the fans want. Should they develop a Joshi division? Yeah, that is very much a specific audience. But is that audience driving the needle for them? Is that audience buying merch? I don't see the connection. I see the talk, but I don't see it being quite loud. So that's just my take.
If you're going to put Ryo in this position, you have to hype her, like in some form or fashion. She
won a tournament. She won a tournament, right? So I mean, and if they're sports based and they go for that, that's fine. But I don't think people are buying into that idea. Am I wrong? Like I'm not trying to be overly critical about this.
No.
The unbelievably strong reaction that particularly Thunder Rosa has been getting everywhere. She's slowly becoming one of the most recognizable, popular female wrestlers on the face of the planet. It's foolishness not to be nudging her toward being your champion. So I think they made a big mistake. I'm seeing Max Payne. Holy smokes, love that game. He's suggesting that maybe they should have signed Tessa Blanchard. Unbelievable talent. Obviously, her father works for the company. Man, some of the divisive things that she allegedly said, that does not fit with the culture in AEW.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think you'll see Tessa somewhere, and they say time heals all wounds and things of that regard. I think there's some truth to that. I also think Tessa could be a real asset. She is definitely more than the wrestler she was when we first learned her name. You'd be coming in with a whole lot of smoke there if you brought her in.
Incredibly talented person. By the way, I think Max Payne used to wrestle for WCW. He became Man Mountain Rock, right?
Yeah, now apparently his avatar is the Green Bay Packers.
Also now Matt Kuhn from Advocate.
I've heard that before. Shout out to Matt Kuhn. How you doing, man? What else you want to cover before we run down the whole card for Revolution?
Yeah, Mark. What else we got?
Last thing I want to mention was I feel like the more that they hype this, let me see if I can get this thing right. Exploding barbed wire death match.
No appearance by Kenny or John this week. Just a video package.
No, just a video package. But the more that they hype it, the more I'm getting out of that Jim Cornette mindset where I'm just like, it's a damn mud show. And the more I'm getting like, I'm pumped up right now. I cannot wait to see this match happen. Somebody might die. Hopefully nobody dies. Hopefully nobody gets 3-degree burns. But man, it's like it's an exciting prospect to have a match like that coming up, especially between two guys that you could make the argument are the two best wrestlers in the world.
Well, Marcus, I mean, Moxley said it too, and I think he really hammered this point home, and I think it was important to do, was he says that you don't get a lot of these kind of matches. And if he's going to go out and do a match like this, he's going all out. There's no pulling punches with this shit. And so, like, you bring that intensity with it.
Dom's getting hardcore. He's throwing swears out there now.
Oh, so you watch it with
This is my verbal version of the barbed wire exploding death match. Is
fuck, shit,
ball sack.
We're so badass. We're eighth grade boys. We're eighth grade boys who
with our hats on
words. We learn bad words. And we go to the mall when our moms aren't around. And we say bad stuff.
We rip some cigs.
Now we rip some cigs. We wear backwards hats. Put on your backwards hat. How do I not have my backwards hat?
We gotta cover up those domes.
Go down to the mall. We go down to the mall. We go to Lids and we say fuck.
Imagine
us, Julius, bro.
Us three walking deep, bro. Us three walking deep in the Schaumburg Mall.
Oh god.
So let me try to get back on track here.
Yeah, impossible.
Mama DeAngelo doesn't want you hanging out with that Kellam boy. He's a bad influence.
That's right. Now, then you add into the fact that you have the history of an exploding barbed wire death match. You put Onita on the television package there, plus you have the name of Terry Funk in the mix too of that all. I think that really adds to the element of like, ooh, this is exciting.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of doing because we have the Twitch channel. We just lost the Twitch channel, Marcus, and we're streaming on Twitch now. And we're trying to get that going. Thinking of doing a watch along of just that famous FMW Onita versus Terry Funk in a soccer stadium barbed wire death match they did. I'm thinking of watching that, maybe possibly Sunday afternoon. I know for the podcast people, you may not know about this, but go follow our Twitch channel. See when that pops up.
Now, I know a lot about American wrestling. I do not know a lot about these Japanese deathmatch exploding ring matches. So I want to ask you guys, have you ever heard of anyone coming out of one of these unscathed, without 3-degree burns, without terrible injuries?
No.
I would say this is one of those matches where an injury of some kind is almost guaranteed. It is definitely one of those matches heralded on high amongst wrestling fans. It was a tape trading thing. It was hardcore before ECW even became a thing. You know, this is years before ECW in terms of that mega violent stuff. And there is an audience. We hear about them. We see them at StarCast. It's a very specific type of wrestling fan. You know,
we see one right below here, Herman.
Yeah. And so we have people saying, Herman, who's with us, saying, the only reason I bought the pay-per-view, can't wait. So I already bought it. Can't wait. It's the main event tomorrow night. Hope my favorite wins, Kenny. So he's still rooting for the characters. But I do think this match has an appeal to people that maybe just gloss over. Oh, it's great wrestling, bell to bell. You guys can flip over the ropes. So they want gnarly violence. And you've already had the great quote unquote wrestling match between them on television. I really think this is something that Moxley has wanted to do for a very, very long time. There were allusions to that in the first pay-per-view match between Kenny and Moxley. That's the thing that I think about too. This is one time where I've heard more people talk about the actual gimmick of the match more than who wins it and who the competitors are. The match almost has become bigger than the two guys in it, which is very, very rare in wrestling.
Well, and here's the $1 million question. We're going to touch on what Herman has to say here. Who goes over?
It's a tough call.
I'm saying Kenny. It's got to, like, I think you want to further add legitimacy to the title itself. Moxley had an amazing, like, year-long run. You don't want to flip it back over to Moxley so quick. That's the only reason I'm saying Kenny. And Kenny, I think, still has a lot to show as a top heel, and you further get him over by having him retain that title and keeping it for a longer time. Kenny's my pick.
That's fair. I mean, it makes sense. I think the long term, maybe there's a bigger payoff. Maybe you want to wait to sell tickets and do that in front of a real live audience. But, my real live audience, I understand they have fans there. But I mean, an arena, and so do you have enough gas in the tank storyline wise to do that? Certainly you have enough wrestlers. I don't think any of the WWE fans that tune into AEW that want to see Jericho and different guys they like, there's plenty of those fans, by the way. Many of those fans that watch both would be disappointed if Jon Moxley won this belt. I'm 50-50 on this. I almost think it's just they got to pull off the spectacle and live up to the billing of barbed wire exploding death match and not maim anyone and get severely injured. This does lend itself to a lot of shenanigans, though, of outside interference and different things like that. So that's why I'm kind of like, I could go either way. It's you have to live up. Now it's can they live up to the hype? I think it's a bigger thing. Can they live up to the hype of this match, which has only been done a handful of times, and every time it's been done, it was consequential.
Well, I also want to ask if anybody knows, when is Mox's wife, Renee, due? Because maybe he is, and Herman actually just mentioned this. Maybe Mox is looking to take a little time off. So taking an L in a savage match like this could be a good out for a while.
That's a great point. Very great.
I don't know her due date. I don't think we're supposed to. You know what I mean?
Why not?
I get it because you want to know the timing of it and how it would play out, right? When is Jericho's band going to go on tour? So we know when we're not going to see Chris Jericho. It's like been a big thing forever, right? So I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't. Would people get mad if Jon Moxley won the title back? Maybe.
I think people would. I like Mox. I love Mox. I think he's the best. I think he is legitimately the wrestler of 2020. And I feel he's the best babyface going right now. So, but I do feel like you really do need to keep the belt on Kenny for this. I think you do.
Yeah, I think that you've got to use logic as a guide rail here when thinking about this. And it's what would it do for anybody to have the belt put back on Moxley, who held it for what, like 8 months, 9 months, very long time. Maybe a little longer. I don't even know. So what does it do for anybody to turn around and put the belt back on Moxley? I think logically it's going to wind up being Kenny Omega to further establish him as a main eventer.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really violent. And I hope everyone's okay. Do we see the referee? Have you seen any video of this where the referee in these original matches, which were really only done in Japan, I think. They did some version of this in ECW, but it didn't have the budget. But they had he's in a blast suit. So are we going to see that? Is Bryce Remsburg going to be in a blast suit?
That could be very interesting. I didn't even think about what the ref is going to do in the ring while shit's exploding and people are getting flung into barbed wire.
And also, like, what is it going to look like? Because we just saw like the drawings, right? That Kenny Omega put up, right? But did they put this in Daly's place? Is it in Daly's place, or is it in the arena next door or the stadium next door? Where do they put it?
Man, yeah, that's a great point.
It would almost have to be in the stadium. I would think that the less confined, the better when it comes to.
Because you have all that smoke too. Like if the explosions are going off, God, it's so crazy to say that. So if these explosions are going off,
holy shit,
and you have to shoot it, and then you have to shoot it in this amphitheater. Mind you, it'll air out, right? It's not like an arena. That's why they never do these matches. I don't think these matches ever really been, very rarely been done indoors. It can get really smoky, right? So like I don't know. There's so many variables with this that are so effing dangerous. Excuse me, so fucking dangerous.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. You know, the fact that they have to probably hire a professional to say, like, all right, what amount of explosive is acceptable to throw a human on top of?
And also, they're guaranteeing you explosions next to the ring.
Yes,
they're saying it's going to be a 30-minute match. And at the end of the 30 minutes, the explosions go off, no matter what. Which is just like, well, why do they have to go off logistically? Like,
wait, is that part of it?
Match,
like at the end of 30 minutes, explosions are happening.
Yeah, like well, that's what they did before. The countdown comes and the explosion. So I guess maybe if you bought a ticket, you want to see something go boom, right? But then at the same time, it's like, well, when the match ends 20 minutes in, do you have to blow it up? like, do they just go off 10 minutes later?
If we're keeping kayfabe, this match could end on like a schoolboy or a roll up, right?
let's I know we've been going an hour. I'm sorry if I threw off your whole show.
Oh, you're fine, man.
You want to run down? You guys want to run down the card here? You want to
let's run down the
give
card.
the quick ones.
Yeah, I have it up front if you guys want.
Sure, pitch it down.
So let's just start with the buy-in here. We talked about Thunder Rosa and the other AEW women's talent. So Rio is tagging up with Thunder Rosa against Dr. Britt Baker and Rebel. It's in the buy-in pre-show. Who do you guys got for that?
Britt and Rebel. I think they're you need a hot hand as a heel act. They're going to need something moving forward. I guess Akira Shida is a champion. I think they got to move Britt into a title program after this tournament and figure things out there. Maybe correct the course and because Britt's an over character. You know, she's been over for a while. She won that Thunder Rosa match, which was built up to for a long time, and everyone thought the tournament was hers to win. They didn't go that direction.
I'm going Thunder Rosa and Rio. I think that whoever wins is going to wind up getting the pin on Rebel to keep Britt Baker hot. But I do think that Rosa needs to get a win back.
Yeah, I'm Marcus. I'm with you too. I feel Rebel's in there and she'll take the pin, and then they'll hit the kind of the refresh button on Britt after on Wednesday or whatever. You know, it may be, but I think because you don't want Riho getting pinned after she just returned. Thunder Rosa just took the loss in the tournament. I think it kind of balances out to have
the only person to be pinned, really logically, is Rebel, Reba, whatever you want to call
it. So now I don't have
that lady.
Now they announced. I don't know if Kev or Marcus, you can pull this up, but the Casino Tag Team Royale, they announced all 15 teams now. I know
15 teams.
15 teams. So Gun Club got announced yesterday. Varsity Blondes I saw was announced. Natural Nightmares are in the bout. And I believe there's another team, but we have like a new team like Bear Country, who's been on Dark as on the regular Private Party, Penta and Ray Phoenix. This is just coming off the top of my head. So if you guys know some more,
if ever there was a filler match on an AEW one,
I was just gonna say, if I got to take a leak, that's when I'm gonna be standing up.
I want to catch the ending of it. I want to know who wins it, because I mean, the team that comes out of this is going to be set up for something, right? And there's plenty of big teams on it, but it does. Come on, I'm not lying. This feels like filler, right?
Clusterfuck. Nobody's interested.
Well, I mean, it's what you typically get at each and every pay-per-view of AEW is some sort of.
But isn't that becoming redundant to a degree? Like you're playing out the battle. You're playing out the battle royal.
You really are. And it's that neat Royal Rumble format, but it's also like, it's.
I also think it's a play to the locker room and be like, listen, we're getting everybody on the card. You know, even if you're playing a small role, you're on the show. But maybe this is the part where WWE has no problem saying, listen, not everyone gets on our 4-hour pay-per-view. You know, so there's something there. But yeah, I want to know who wins it, but I'm not super compelled to tune in early for it. I'll check it out. If I'm watching it, it's on, I'm there, you know?
Who you guys got?
It's got to be the Death Triangle that's not a triangle anymore. Ray Phoenix.
What's a triangle?
Is it? It's only been Ray Phoenix and Pac for a while now, hasn't it?
Well, Penta was hurt, so he's back.
Oh, okay. So it's still a triangle. Just one part of the triangle has been gone for a while. But I'm going with those two. They came out in a hell of a squash match on this past Dynamite, so I think that they're kind of getting a rocket strapped to them, and we're angling toward them in the Bucks.
I'm going with Bear Country. I think they're going to want to make a new team maybe out of this. And Bear Country's been with AEW. I don't believe they're under contract. And maybe I have complete bias in this. I got to work a handful of AAW shows in the past final months of 2020, and I saw this Bear Country team presented on the show, and they looked incredible. They had like a real presence and felt different from everything else. They felt like a throwback, but with a new spin visually on it, with the mask and stuff like that. And I think they could be really cool. I don't mind it. they have a lot of teams in AEW. Some of them are promoted and then kind of just get sent off to the wayside, like an SCU or Natural Nightmares. And they have other teams that are certainly over. But I would love to see a new team emerge and become prominent in this match. And I think that's a great way to do it.
That's a good one. So I'm going to go against the grain here a little bit. It's simply for the fact that they just lost a tag team title shot. I'm going to go with Ortiz and Santana and say that they're going to fire back and come back against the Bucks, have another match, and get the win.
I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it either.
Would not be opposed.
Would not. All right, here we go. Miro and Kip Sapien versus Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor.
I don't care. So what happened to Miro? What happened here? All right. You want to talk about Big Show coming over and it being a big deal? It was a huge deal when Miro came over. And he came over and he said, "You can take a brass ring and shove it up your ass." And all that. And he's with Kip Sabian, and this is going to be he's here. All of that momentum gone. It's gone. And Miro's still over. He can still go out and find the camera. Got a hell of a promo. And I think he can still have a great match. He's been wrestling a lot less lately. I don't know if he's nursing an injury or anything like that.
That's a good point. I think he kind of hurt his leg in that one single.
Yeah. So, but this is played out. This thing is played out. They did the wedding angle, which felt like a goof. It was fun, but I was like, you could have done that on Dark. It felt like a BTE sketch on Dynamite.
And they hyped it for so too long.
Yeah,
and
here's the thing, guys. It just didn't live up to the hype. It wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't great. And I do think this is something where AEW fans who are loyal to the brand have to swallow the rough pill that the Miro thing has been mishandled. Has he indulged a little bit? Sure. Maybe he has. Maybe he wanted to do let's fight over an arcade
video game
thing. And also the best friends love themselves a goof. Like Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor love themselves a goof when they're playing for the goof. But I don't know. I mean, the match. Here's the thing. I don't. Either team could win, and it wouldn't matter.
It was. I think the way that they've handled Miro so far in AEW has been borderline vomit-inducing.
If it was on Dark or another one of their sideshows, I wouldn't matter as much. It wouldn't bother me as much.
He's so talented. Got such a great look. He's really polished in the ring as well. And what they're giving him is you broke my video game, and he's getting
you broke my video game.
Right? So are you fucking this guy's an absolute monster of a human being, and he's upset because his arcade video game, which was at ringside for no good reason, he's upset because that was broken. They've mishandled him from the beginning, and this is just another part of that. They're clearly working toward him and Orange Cassidy, and with that being the case, Miro and Kip Sabian are
going to keep going. They're going to do more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Marcus, I'm with you on that too. I think it's going to be Miro and Kip. I think they'll get the pin on Chuck or the submission on Chuck. But dude, this whole thing with Miro, it's just I really do feel a lot of this was by Miro's hand in a lot of ways. I think you just look at it from that perspective of him having his own Twitch, being very interactive on Twitch, being very engaging with fans and stuff like that. I think it's a real big passion of his, and he got to incorporate this, got that creative freedom to incorporate this into his introduction to himself. And
it's the strength becomes the weakness. Come to AEW, we'll give you creative freedom, and then we give it to you, and you get to dictate some of your stuff, and then you're in this storyline that is muddled. And to put it as a mid-card thing now feels, there's other matches I think fans would want to
Kev, it's you say this could be put on Dark and you'd be all right with it. But just and Miro being on Dark is fine. It's fine because a lot of their stars.
It's just underserving the hype that Miro had.
You want to put him just right there as that. And it's really undercooked and just it's a letdown. It's been a letdown because
it's a letdown for Orange Cassidy. This guy was with Chris Jericho.
Dude, Orange Cassidy too. I think he'll be fine. Orange Cassidy. Sure. This is just a stopgap kind of thing, but it shouldn't be a stopgap because it's Miro. So you get past this tag match, I think they can heat it up. Him and Miro, they can heat up still, but it's gonna take some work.
I think that'll be interesting because theoretically it should be who goes over Miro, this absolute monster of a guy, or this super over babyface in Orange Cassidy. So we're angling toward that. But
is he a monster?
The trip has been
like I don't think he's a monster anymore.
No,
he's
not
a guy
anymore.
who plays video games.
Not anymore. They've ruined him. So the trip has been absolutely hideous for this payoff, and it's, as Kev just said, is the payoff even going to be worth it by then? I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't even want to give a prediction because I don't care.
I'm with
it'll be and Chuck Taylor is a great wrestler, the Kentucky Gentleman. Orange Cassidy has one of the most compelling, interesting, one of the most probably the best comedy wrestler I've ever seen, like live, right? Incredibly entertaining. It just isn't working. Just pull the plug. You know what I mean? And this is when WWE does something. They try it and it doesn't work. Oh, how come you don't reference that thing that you did 3 weeks ago? Because it didn't work and you didn't like it. That's what I'm talking about.
Time to pretend it never happened.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. I would want all these guys to be in that tag team battle royal. Want them to be in their own match. That's another thing about this pay-per-view card. It's so top heavy. It's very top heavy.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of a very big match, is the face of Revolution ladder match. Cody Rhodes, Scorpio Sky, Penta El Zero Miered. Oh my God.
Miered.
Penta El Zero M. I'm just going with that.
Say Pentagon. Just say
Pentagon Jr. That's what I know him as, Pentagon Jr. Lance Archer, Max Caster, and to be determined. So, Kev, who you got in this? And give your pick.
To be determined. I'm going with the mystery man. I think this is a bunch of supporting players for this big mystery man to come out and wreck everybody. And I don't know if this is one of the predictions, but a great spot for Big Show to come in and hurt some people on a pay-per-view and say, I wasn't just coming here to be a nice guy. And, there's no more BS. Is not just a t-shirt that I tuck into my jeans. This is I'm coming and I'm winning some belts. I was on TNT before any of you guys could even ride a bike, and I'm going to win the belt for TNT. And there's a lot of logic there. And I think he comes in and just terrorizes Darby Allin for months on end, chasing that title.
It's a good one. Mark?
I don't hate it. Well, I'm going with to be determined as well. And I think it's going to be Kurt Angle. And I think that Kurt Angle's he's finally getting the run that he should have gotten in WWE. I was just listening to his podcast with Conrad Thompson, and you could hear the frustration in his voice when he was talking about, like, I would request to be put with somebody, but then the outcome of the match or the way that the match was set up or the length of the match was not what I wanted, and I felt very discouraged during that period of time. And so I think that Kurt Angle is finally going to get the victory run that he always wanted. And what's going to happen is he's going to win this. He will become the TNT champion, and then he's going to be retired finally by Cody Rhodes.
Intriguing, very intriguing. Yeah. So just to be different, I'm very much with either of you guys on that one.
You're picking this is the introduction of somebody.
Yes. So I'm going to be determined, but I'm going to say the person coming out is going to be Chris Hero. And,
okay. That'd be a great way to introduce somebody.
He's
put them in a multi-man match, have everyone bump and feed for him, big spots, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I feel like him doing it, he's cultivated more of a connection with fans with the podcast on ad-free shows. I feel like them going into that and him just being off the television for a while and just being an established, credited talent.
Great talent.
That is
lifer guy. If he doesn't wrestle again, he could become a producer for him.
And by so much too, underutilized in NXT and WWE in general, like by that. So to get him back into this position of let's see Chris Hero here, I think will certainly play to him being an established talent in AEW, and this is a good way to get him going.
If WWE went back on the road tomorrow and they needed producers, and they're like, we're not going to bring our TV producers or agents with us, Chris Hero, from what I've been told, is always been on a short list. Mm-hmm. Like he could have a bigger role in Raw or SmackDown as an agent than as an in-ring talent, and they don't look at him that way. And I guess what that shows value to you You're going to help craft all these big things for him. If he doesn't show up, I think he'll still have a very prominent future in wrestling. I think he'll be one of those guys that hits the indies running when the shows really start opening up. I do think if he's available, plenty of AEW guys too are allowed to do that. They just haven't been able to do that.
They just said the opportunity has not been there.
No.
Well, two names we did not mention, I'm sure, throughout the show that before I got there. Whoa, Luna's going nuts. Is Joe Henning and Chris?
Yeah. Big hand. I've heard some people put that out there too, that they would like him to be there. That are there would like to see Joe Henning. The former Curtis Axel would like to be a part of that. So I think he'd be a hot hand to get, or certainly knows how to work. Certainly knows how to has the credibility. Yeah. They wrestling loves them a second generation, third generation guy. They love it.
Let me ask this before we move on. Just real quick. If perfect world, you can get anybody within reason who's doing the run-in. If it's up to you, Kev.
If they just want to run in
like a run-in interference,
no,
the ladder match?
To be determined a person. Who's it going to be? Perfect world. Who would you love to see in that role?
Tommy Dreamer has the article. It's up right now. CM Punk's the perfect fit. He's the perfect fit for their brand. He owns his name, and his name was super marketed with WWE. And in terms of, I'm laying this all business wise, guys. Obviously, he's a fan. I'm gonna lose my mind. I was at Money in the Bank 2011. I saw him win the title. I saw him and Samoa Joe have one of the best matches. I love him. Fan. He is the ultimate shit starting babyface or heel. He can play both sides of the coin. He's as good a babyface as he is a heel. Very few guys got to do that. All right. So I think he could do a lot of different things, plus a ton of knowledge. He could really combine that style of wrestling in the ring that AEW has. When you see it not work, it always worked with Punk because his timing was on point. On point. A never wasted movement. And also he could improvise and knew how to work a crowd into everything he did. He's the multi-generational wrestler. He bridged that independent style with how do we get this to work on television for a mainstream audience. He's that guy in that regard. Here's why he's also the guy. The marketing, video games, merchandise. You know his name. All right. If you were 15 and you watched WWE 5 years ago, now you're 21 and you're buying beer. Well, God damn it. I'll buy a Coors Light and it's sponsored by AEW. And they got, I'm not saying CM Punk, obviously the sober guy is going to do that, but you want to do a soda deal? You want to do a Pepsi deal? You want to do Coca-Cola? You want to do Slim Jims? He always wanted to do a Slim Jim deal. Maybe he gets a Slim Jim deal in AEW, right? So that's where a guy like him comes in. That's where a guy like, we mentioned Kurt Angle and different names like that. That's why they're going to bring in somebody with name value for licensing. No, so licensing is a different thing than what they're doing at the video game, because licensing, you're signing off your talent and endorsing something that's completely third party. And 9 times out of 10, it's your logo and stuff like that. And it's a Slim Jim deal. You're doing commercials. The video game, like they're involved in that. Like they have a hand in that. So, but you also want big names to sell video games. That's why CM Punk, I think, would be a perfect fit across the board. In the ring, on the product, on the t-shirt, he's the guy.
For clarification, you're saying the ladder match, Kev?
I'm saying whatever. I mean, if you want to have him run in the ladder match and give someone a GTS, hell yeah.
Yeah. If he was, could you imagine if he was the guy in the ladder match and you still had to wait for the Hall of Fame worthy talent? Like, who's that coming out then?
That's not the way to do it. If CM Punk comes out, he's the end of the show.
I don't know. You could get it over either way, though. It's
CM Punk. End of the show.
It's CM Punk, though.
He should be the end of the show, and it should be CM Punk. If it is a perfect world, CM Punk.
You know this. It's headlines, dude. I'm the social media producer. They could blow up each other's fingers and come out of there with no hands in the Exploding Barbed Wire death match. But God damn it, CM Punk just signed with WWE or AEW. Right? Yeah. WWW.
Dom, is CM Punk your choice as well? If it's perfect world,
are you saying Hall of Fame worthy talent? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about the ladder match? What are you?
I'm saying what's going to get us traffic at WrestleZone.com. It would be.
I was talking about to be determined, but hey, either way.
So to be determined, I mean, I guess I would go Angle. Because, like, I think Kev's, the way you set up that story for Big Show is awesome. Like, I think that's very money. I think that's really money.
Comes out, gets a bunch of heat. All the fans hate him.
The only reason
he promised us a surprise, and you were already here. Like that type of thing.
The only reason I say Angle is because he's a big name. He's not the name that you're hyping at the end of the show. and then he's a new name, so he's an added talent in addition to Big Show or Paul White.
Mhm.
So that's the reason I would say as the run-in for the ladder match, as the to be determined for the ladder match, I would go Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What is next on that card?
Yes. Next up, we have the big money match.
Big money.
Hangman.
Matt Hardy
Hangman
did the
Page.
interview with us. We have Matt Hardy versus Adam Hangman Page. Built up to for a little while. Clever booking here. We're trying to sign the crooked contract, but Matt Hardy, in the interview we did with him this week, went into great depth about the creative direction and changing from Broken to Money Matt and this storyline and how there were subtle things that were done with it that fans can infer. I'm into this match. I think this would be the perfect match to open the show, by the way. I think this would be the perfect one to do.
Mm-hmm.
My money is on Page. I think Page needs a big win, and they've done the road to redemption is him doing this, and I think Matt Hardy has broke Matt Hardy with his wife being really mad at him. That kind of writes itself. That vignette writes itself. Is her being all pissed off and him being like, we got to turn the water off because I'm trying to save money. All that, like him being cheap Matt Hardy would be really cool. There's some goofy stuff,
like
right?
other broken Matt Hardy broke.
Yeah,
he's like that.
Yeah, he's gonna do all these goofy things to hide from that. Mind you, that would be funny. You want to talk about funny stuff you wish you'd do? That'd be funny. And that's something you do in your 40s when you're not bumping as much. And this has been borderline funny, but you still need to go out there and have yourself a kick-ass match. And I think he'll have it with Hangman Page. Give Hangman Page the win. That's why Matt Hardy's there, the experienced guy. Put somebody over.
Mark?
Yeah, you got to go with Hangman Page here. He needs to win, and plus, it's the age-old tradition, right? Older talent puts over younger talent. It's what makes the most sense. And to Kev's point, how hilarious would it be to see him getting like a car repossessed or something?
There's where you get Barry Darsow back.
Barry Darsow can do a run as the Repo Man, repossess his car.
Matt's on the bus. He's just on a bus.
He's like
this right.
Let me tell you, I rode the Jacksonville Transit, so it's kind of reliable, but it's needs a little. It's definitely you can definitely get
fans like sending out pictures of him on Twitter.
I think we need to be on the booking committee over there.
You get him. You do the next video of him like doing the Incredible Hulk thing where he's like hitchhiking to get to the people driving by Matt. I'm with you guys, though. I think Hangman's got to win it. He will win it, and it'll be a good match. Good opener it would be, too, to your point, Kevin.
When do we start doing AEW rewritten? Yeah, that's
Dude, I'm on board.
We'll have to give it a couple years here.
Tony Khan listens, so Tony, get us a job over there on the booking committee, will you? Go ahead, Dom.
All right, street fight time. Street fighting man.
We haven't even touched on this.
Play them Rolling Stones, baby.
We're 90 minutes into this. You guys want to do an hour? We're 90 minutes in. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, we're good, man. I'm good.
I'm having a hoot.
So, Sting and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and absolute Ricky Starks. The Revolution will be televised, and it is being televised. Who you got, Marcus?
Only one correct answer. You got Sting back making his debut in wrestling for AEW, and to have him take a loss, it's silliness. So yeah, Sting's got to go over here. Sting and Darby.
Kev?
I go with Sting and Darby. I think it's a given. It's Sting and Darby. I think that's the way to go. And you brought Sting in. You're not going to have Sting. Sting gives the endorsement to Darby. That's the whole point of it. Sting is a huge superstar. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks can have their day. They can have it. You have a team of goons and your goon leader, Team Taz. They are the power putties in this situation in a Power Rangers episode. Though I do think the real interesting X factor is Sting ready to go. Can he do this? He's obviously taken power bombs, gotten physical. He looks ready. And as violent as a street fight can be, there's a lot of things you can hide in it. You're not running the ropes. You're not doing the same physical finesse that you would be doing in a ring. And they're going to get out of the ring and do the street fight stuff. And maybe some of that become cinematic, and you can do pre-edits and do multiple takes. So a 61-year-old Sting looks like Sting.
I'm with you guys. It's got to be Sting, and it's got to be Darby Allin winning this. I think it was a cool build. Having Ricky Starks go face to face against Sting on Dynamite, and then get like slapping Sting and like getting that heat going and getting it
meat slapping.
Meat
We're getting some meat slapping in here.
Big Hoss's slapping meat out there.
And that's what you want.
He's in the club. He's a meatsman.
Yep. Oh,
He's
man, Marcus, we've been talking a whole lot of meat on this our Impact post
ongoing joke. Ongoing joke on the WrestleZone podcast on the 19 hours of audio.
Guys.
Yeah, the 19 hour, yes, is Dom's fascination with the old guys. If anyone's over 40, he's on board.
Oh, that is on
board. And
tip of the iceberg with Dominic and his
Dom's going to be into me in a couple of years. But we have this ongoing thing about meat. Is anyone who's the big brawniest meat guy? That our very own boss man Bill Pritchard, he'll fall for that. He'll fall for the meatiest of meat men. And then I was like, we should just start calling our shows a Smoke Shack. We need an Omaha Steaks deal. Who's got jerky? Come on now.
Bring it all to us. Bring it all.
Yeah. We are the least.
We just get HelloFresh.
Vegans and vegetarians, we love you. Pescatarians, hang out. But something's going on the grill.
A lot of meat talk, a lot of wrestling talk. I mean, you get it all with WrestleZone, gang.
I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry talking right now.
Right? No, this will be a good match. But it'll be fun. Like, obviously, Sting back in action. We've seen him do all his moves, like his signature moves and stuff like that. And so it'll be a good pay. It'll be a good time. I hope Taz somehow is a factor in it in some form or fashion. I just think it's good to have him right there because he is it's Team Taz. So him getting in a confrontation somehow with Sting, I think would be a very neat moment to have at this to start Sting's role as an active wrestler on the right track. So any other points you want to make before I carry on here?
I think that's everything. I think we've kind of covered everything. Yeah.
AEW Tag Team Championship, Young Bucks versus Inner Circle. Marcus, you guys gave your predictions already with this. Do you guys want to add anything else?
No. I think you'll see some run-in shenanigans and stuff like that. Maybe Sammy Guevara presents himself here as the guy who left the Inner Circle, left Jericho and MJF in their faction, and that could be the post-match scenario, and that lends itself to television. But I wouldn't overcook this show with a whole bunch of storyline stuff. Give people payoffs. It's pay-per-view. Means payoffs. Give me the finality. Give me the final showdown.
Marcus, anything you want to add?
Yeah, like I said, I think that the Bucks are going to go over, and we're going to start building toward them and the Death Triangle. Because just imagine the shows that those teams will put on together.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna push back and say Inner Circle wins this, and then just plays more into that story, and you're gonna have, you have that moments of it. To my point, my prediction earlier is Santana and Ortiz winning the Battle Royal. Maybe that sets that up again. So there's something going there. You're
a contrarian.
I'm being a little contrarian, but I think hey, why the hell fuck not? Okay?
Marcus, I've wanted to say what you've said for a while.
Dude, you should. Me and Kev, when we're doing the post shows or the
we're just. What do you mean?
Yeah, we're going back and forth all the time. Okay,
it's not the 80s, Dom. It's not the 80s.
I could feel the heat through the screen when you guys were talking about Tully selling for Marco Stunt.
That's just tip of the iceberg. Kevin and I get into it, man.
Oh, we get in.
We do.
We get in.
Oh man, we do.
We get in.
I can't wait for these conversations to happen in person at a bar. It's gonna be good times.
Dude, Dom is definitely in the camp of Kevin Kellam is horny for WWE. So but
there's been some erotic fiction.
Yes, my nips get hard when I talk about 50-50 bookings.
Give me that lack of continuity, baby.
Is your push on, push off, push on, push off.
Hey, it's AEW Women's Championship. Who we got? Hikaru Shida, the champion, versus Ryo Mizunami. Who are you going with? Kev?
I guess if they want to make a wave a little bit in Japan, Mizunami would do it for them. If they're doing some new media deal or streaming deal or some type of arrangement, they could go in that direction. You could go either way. Akira Shida winning it. And it's really about what the next match is. I think this, like I said earlier, I don't think this match is going to get the love or the recognition it deserves. And that is counteractive to some of the things that AEW said that they want to do with women. But that is I don't want to say that they booked themselves into a hole because these women are going to have a great match, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have at least a very solid match. but I don't think it's going to get the love it deserves. I say Shida wins.
Okay.
I'm going with Ryo. I think that it's a transitional champion situation, much like Bob Backlund before beating Bret Hart to take the L to Diesel later on. I think it's she's strictly going to be a transitional champion. And also, they made it a point of mentioning that she was right on the verge of retirement, and then she enters this tournament. So I think they're booking toward a Cinderella story, which inevitably has her taking a loss to someone like Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker.
All right, I'm going Shida. I think the lack of build for Ryo is not good, and so I feel like it's to put the belt on her just seems, I don't know, counterproductive in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that it's to Kev's point. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it might even pleasantly surprise a lot of people too in regards to how it comes off and be like, wow, that's something to mark about. And but yeah, I do think Shida wins because she's established. I think her beating the tournament champion further establishes her run as a champion. So I think she wins, and we go on to the next bout of her feud, whoever it may be. All right, main event time. Exploding barbed wire death match. We kind of gave our predictions already. But yeah, guys, anything you want to add? Kev, start it off.
Can they live up to the hype? Can they live up to the hype? Can they deliver on the idea that you're going to get more blood, you're going to get explosions, you're going to have all these things, not get severely injured? Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get stitches out of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And still get a storyline that comes out of this. I think they didn't need Moxley or Kenny on the show this week, which showed their confidence in that, a video vignette would do it for them. And it did. And I agree with them on. I think Kenny gets out of this, but really wanted to shake something up, and whoever this X factor that's coming into the company wants to do something, maybe it's a little bit more entertaining, and maybe you want to have the never happened before Omega versus Wrestler X scenario. Maybe that could happen quite a little bit more with Omega winning. I like this. If this is the end of the show and someone debuts at the end of the show, the smoke clears, that person presents themselves, the winner of this match faces them. That's how the show goes off the air.
All right, Marcus.
Yeah, I mean that is the only way to do it, and especially if you're bringing in a guy like CM Punk, he's got to be. Well, first of all, let me say there's basically a couple guarantees here. One, I think you can take it to the bank that Kenny Omega is going to win this match. The other one is that somebody's probably going to get third-degree burns, or need stitches, or might lose a finger in one of these explosions. So,
Omega Punk would be quite the match to sell.
Yep. So, I mean, you talk about building something at the end of the show. Omega's raising his hand in victory, and here comes CM Punk. Man, big ratings.
All out. Chicago, August, this date, sell it. Boom, sell out right away. Punk,
easy,
Omega up top.
Potentially StarCast 5.
StarCast 5.
Easy money. Dominic, what's yours?
StarCast subtitle 5. Dominic and Kevin get drunk in a parking lot.
Yes. And then we get the same Uber driver several times and go to
a Taco Bell that's closed at 9:30. What the hell?
I think we need a Chicago street fight between you two arguing your wrestling theory.
It's not the 80s. It's a different time. There's multi-platform.
Marcus, it'll be exactly like how me and you brawled as kids. Like, you're just kind of kicking my ass. Like, Kev is in your role, and I'm like talking smack to him as he's like giving me.
But he's making me more mad.
And I'm making him more mad.
More.
Oh,
I
Kev,
love you, but I don't want to do this.
Dominic would classically, we're going off the rails, but it was classic. I would get him down and he'd beg off once I got him down, and then I'd start to walk away and he'd come back.
And he says one more little, he says, right as you say, all right, you're fine.
Or I'll go up and then I'll slap him real quick and then it's just back right at it.
I have two older brothers. I would absolutely 100% do the same thing. And my favorite move was to get on my back when they would come at me, and I would kick at them. And then my
Brazilian
older brother.
jiu-jitsu.
Yes, my older brother Kieran would do this, but he was really tall.
Gracie, really, Gracie,
and we called it the satellite death position because anytime you try, and you would just pop, he would catch you with one like right on the chin or like right in the chest, and it hurt. Oh man! And then my older brother Bob, he just wrecked all of us, so it really didn't matter. If he came in, he was the Brock Lesnar. We're all good.
F5 and get left and right.
Yeah,
clearing house.
Yeah. And then my sister, she just destroyed all of us.
I did get Dom to tap out once. It was with the Texas Cloverleaf.
Yeah, that was painful.
Oh yeah, no, there were a couple times put wrestling holds on people you're not supposed to put them on.
I had to tap. I had to tap. I did get Marcus clean once with the roll up pin though. Schoolboy.
Absurd. Never happened.
You got the flash finish.
I had to roll Chubby Marcus up for the one.
How dare you?
Oh no! Did you hear this?
To be fair, though, I was a very portly child.
I know, but Marcus, listen to him. Just get his shit in. Like,
Just
you know, he's like, all right, we're signing off here in a minute. Signing off. All these things. We're talking fun. Did you know Marcus was fat? All right.
he thinks he's safe down there in the city. You're going to just wake up, Dom, and the match will start.
Look what you did. You woke up the baby.
I know
you
it's
woke
the cats.
Up the baby.
It's the cats. It's Kev.
You woke up the baby.
My other babies, Kev.
You woke up the baby.
I didn't give my prediction. Well, I did give my prediction, but it's Kenny. I think Kenny's gonna win. And you guys have to that point. It will move. Mox is gonna go away for a little bit, and then we'll be building to that next feud. Now, I don't know if you guys want to do this real quick, but maybe you guys already said it. Like, who is your Hall of Fame worthy guy? Not perfect world, but who is it? Marcus, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, Hall of Fame worthy. It's CM Punk. So if it's going to be Kurt as the to be determined, then Hall of Fame worthy's got to be CM Punk. But there again, to Kev's point, if it is CM Punk, he's got to come in at the end of the show to leave us wanting more.
Because who wants to go on after it?
But
no one's going to want to follow that.
Here's the weird part, though, is that Paul White said that he will be announcing that person. So is he going to come out at the end of the match and be like, wait a minute, I know you're celebrating. I have an announcement to make. Here's the guy. And then out comes CM Punk? Or was this, I mean, I don't know. Logistically, it's a little off.
Well, an exploding barbed wire death match, as I mentioned, presents itself for wild scenarios that can come outside of the ring. And this is the way to bring him in. He's a hardcore guy from a hardcore world. Mind you, he's not like a hardcore wrestler. He's done those matches, right? But he's built of that sect. You know, he's legit in that regard. So, and also if you introduce a Lesnar in that scenario, oh yeah, the smoke clears, and it's Brock. Oh my God, it's Brock. You know, it's
so wrong with one of those two.
Shivani yelling Punk, Shivani yelling Brock. It's not going to be Cena. It's not going to be the Rock guys. They're not doing this. They wrestle again. They're doing it in WWE. All right. Also, let's just say it isn't Punk. I'm in the camp where I think Punk could go anywhere he wants if he wants to wrestle again. Anywhere. And that includes WWE if he wanted to wrestle there again.
Okay. So you're not making a prediction. You're just throwing out the idea.
I'm laying out the logic for all these things to possibly happen. But whoever that person is that's debuting, there's going to be a debut in the final 20 minutes of the show. I'll say that.
Okay. Now I'm gonna ride. I kind of feel I'm gonna be wrong on this, but I'm riding with Bret Hart still. I'm just gonna go with it.
Sure.
Say like, hey, some guy that you can kind of, maybe he'll be almost like that Jack Tunney that we kind of would want, where it's like he shows up, makes some matches, boom, we see him here and there. He's the William Regal, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think Bret Hart could add some value.
I'm not setting myself up for the Twitter backlash. You said this guy.
Well, nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about me, Kev. Anyways, so I'm not going to get
seen
any
you
backlash.
on Twitter. I've seen you on Twitter. Some people do.
I throw down.
People do.
I'm not afraid to throw down on Twitter.
Mark Madden does not pull any punches with you, Dominic.
Great.
Definitely. Man. Yeah.
So,
it's been fun. It's been fun.
It's been a very productive show. I love doing the live stuff, so it's always fun. And thanks to everybody for joining us too. Dang.
I hope I wasn't rude interjecting myself.
No, I'm glad. I was just gonna say I'm glad Dominic's computer had a little glitch, because it was nice to have you on the show with us, Kev.
I always enjoy it, and loving WCW Rewritten.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
a week behind. So that's another cool thing about these WCW rewrittens. We're dropping them in our podcast feed with all of our weekly shows where we're kind of flowing with what the weekly thing is of wrestling. We're talking about wrestling tomorrow, right? And maybe for some of you listening to this on Monday, it may not work, but WCW Written is a bingeable show in this regard that we're putting out on Thursdays, where it's you guys took WCW from Starrcade 1997. We got to put a playlist together too, by the way. I think that would help people.
Oh, yes.
And it comes out every Thursday, and you're rewriting WCW from then on with the talent that's there or that is available in that time. So it's kind of neat in that it truly is rewritten. Let's change history. You know, that's a thing that millennials love to do. They want to change the narrative of what really happened. That's
it, man.
And I like it. I love it. I loved it, man.
It's been a lot of fun so far. And yeah, it's, while I am admittedly using hindsight as kind of a guide rail as I go, if somebody's not available, if somebody's under contract with another company, I will not bring them in. So I'm at least trying to be as realistic as I possibly can. And
you gotta flip through your WoW magazine to see who was in the indies. Your PWI 500 from 1997 is still on hand.
I'm flipping through the anything that Dave Meltzer wrote from the era, trying to okay, this guy was at an indie show on this day. I guess that means he's available. So trying to at least be realistic here, but it's been a lot of fun so far. I think it's a blast of a podcast. Dominic plays my Ed McMahon on the podcast. He's like my sounding board.
I'm the Rebel. I'm the Reba.
Reba Rebel. I'd love to have you on the show at some point.
I would love to do it. Let's
set this up.
Definitely. I would love to do it. Dom, you and I will be live tomorrow night after Revolution.
That's right.
On YouTube, on Facebook. I know a lot of people like us on Facebook, on Twitch. I mentioned I will be doing that FMW watch along. I'll be doing it hopefully at some point. If I get the green light go from WZ Boss, we'll do that. And just also we'll be doing, keep your notifications on to know exactly when we go live and whatever app you enjoy us on. YouTube. I know some people like watching us on their TV. I've seen some pictures of that, which is pretty wild. And you can do that through the YouTube app on Roku. Twitch, we're going to start doing some gaming stuff in the future, so follow us on there. We'll do all of our podcasts on there. And then obviously on all the different apps, if you do the podcast thing, thank you guys so much. We charted the last month. The whole WrestleZone team charted in 12 different countries, which was really, really cool on the Apple Sports podcast chart in 12
That's
different
amazing.
countries. So thank you guys so much.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you all for joining us. And we'll catch you next week. Please check out the WrestleZone Daily podcast with Kev Kellam, the great Kev Kellam. That podcast that we mentioned, WCW Rewritten. You can follow it on Twitter at WCW Rewritten. My slapdick brother there, Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow him. Dom, how?
At Dominic DeAngelo. You can also tune into Wrestle Roast. I was just on there and we roasted the Big Show. Holy smokes. Now go in there with the mindset of everything's off limits, because it is.
Is this Dan St. Germain?
Dan St. Germain.
I love Dan St. Germain, dude. One of the funniest comedians working today.
So funny.
Great album. Go seek out his album if you have Spotify. We're on there as well. Get WrestleZone on Spotify. And very, very funny guy. I remember we saw him at the Roast of Bruce Pritchard Starrcast thing.
That's right.
And he just stole the show, stole the night. And it's so cool that you take the concept of roasting, which is just fun comedy. That is the all-star game of comedy. It's like it's a slam dunk contest is what roasting is. And then you add wrestling to it. Yeah, nerd out, dude.
Holy smokes, it's crazy. When I listened to like the Bret Hart episode and all that stuff. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's like they do not. Oh, it's unbelievable. I was like, and I gave some jokes and stuff like that, but not to that level. It's crazy.
Everybody go in there with the mindset. This is comedy. Nobody's trying to hurt feelings.
Nobody. You only roast the ones you love.
That's right. You know what? Dan was a guest on 2 Dynamite Dudes before, and he's gonna probably be next week's show. So be on the lookout for that as well. So I'm friend of the show, Dan St. Germain.
Friend of the show.
Speaking of Tamarcus's WCW Rewritten, I just soon to come is an interview with Eric Bischoff that I did, and on WrestleZone.com right now is interviews I've done with Mike Chioda and Al Snow. So take a look at those ones.
And also for the podcast people, this is all in the feed too. So you're like, I only want to listen to them after the pay-per-view or something like that. We get that. They're all in the feed. Just scroll down. You'll see them. They're right there. Download them, listen to them, stream them.
Correct.
But by the way, Kev, I wanted to tell you a funny anecdote about Dominic interviewing Bischoff. Right before he did, I was
Bischoff called him fat. What happened? You
no, just me trying to get my stuff in. I was like, hey Dom, ask him when he spoke to RVD. Was RVD available in 1990? And Dom's like, I'm not doing that.
Not happening.
Did you break a contract protocol by talking? I've been able to talk to Bischoff. He is quite the mind for wrestling.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's a very underrated guy. I want to talk about somebody I think deserves a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. He does.
100%.
Holy shit, Kev, is he doing the run-in?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Hall of Fame worthy.
He did it this week on Dynamite. He did it this week on Dynamite.
He's committed. Man. He's committed. Like Tony says, this person's committed. So I mean, it could be. It could be.
And if he came out, that crowd would be so goddamn salty and pissed. But they'd also be like, okay. Like the whole time, it would be like, hi.
He'd have that giant smile on his face.
Yeah, but it'd be that salty, like, you son of a bitch. You know,
oh boy,
I'd be on board. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I think wrestling in general has had a really good role of pay-per-views recently. I thought Elimination Chamber was a really fun show. I thought
it was.
Rumble was fun. People have been bitching and moan about Raw and SmackDown TV week to week, even Dynamite, right? But I think when you have a pay-per-view and wrestlers are coming together across the board right now and really feeling when we ask people for pay-per-view, Peacock Network, traditional pay-per-view, right? I really think people deliver. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a great show. Overall,
it'll be a fun show for sure. Yeah, I don't think there'll be some hiccups, I'm sure, but that's with a lot of those big shows that you have. So
yeah, well, also you have explosions. So
kind of unpredictable that aspect.
Let's hope it's not literal dynamite. Let's hope for the best in that.
Hey, real quick too, Nishad says Bruno is Uno. Cool LGN. He sees my figure. Look at the shirt I'm wearing, Nishad. It's Bruno is Uno. I made
dude. Nishad's really really cool. He won. I'll show you what he won.
Oh.
I bought a big stack of these. Won one of these.
Oh, that's right. You did buy that.
Yeah. He won the Road to WrestleMania activity, an official trivia activity book. It's pretty cool. You can do cool stuff like you can draw your own championship. You can draw eyebrows on Drew McIntyre.
Why does he have eyebrows? Is he Sean Waltman?
Someone took his eyebrows.
Oh, they Sean Waltman'd him.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan looks the worst without the eyebrows. That's pretty cool, and it's a really fun book if you're on a road trip and you're driving passenger side. This is something really neat.
Or while you're driving,
or if you know a young wrestling fan who loves themselves some puzzles and stuff like that, this is perfect for them.
Hey,
we're going to be giving these away randomly. I'll say this: we're going to give away one tomorrow night during the post show, so look out for that.
My thoughts are with the graphic design people over there at WWE who get told, hey, I need you to scrub the eyebrows off people's photos for this.
That's your job today.
Like, what am I doing with my life?
CC Drew McIntyre and the WWE email thing.
How's this look? Yeah.
I went to college for this.
Real quick, guys. Kevin, if you had to color a wrestler, which wrestler would you want to color?
Like coloring book?
Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior, because he has all the different costumes, right?
Okay. That's
I would like to do something fun with the costumes and stuff like that.
Oh boy, the old colored pencils would really get a workout there.
Mm-hmm. With the Warrior.
Feel the spirit. Ultimo Dragon, man.
Jushin Thunder Liger, the costume. You can do the whole costume.
Boy.
Ooh, that's a mighty good
one. I've teased the idea of doing on my head, but I've never gone full force with a WrestleZone activity. After flipping through this, of a WrestleZone activity theme book that we can make, and only contest winners would get it. You would only get it. We give it to select few people. There'd be a word scramble, a royal word rumble.
I like that.
Oh man,
I like that.
Hey, the ideas are flowing. The ideas are flowing, dude.
So how about like a WrestleZone swimsuit calendar? You guys get provocative poses in front of like waterfalls.
Gotta lose some weight before I get there, buddy. Right?
I'm like leaning in front of like a collection of wrestling figures with my shirt off.
Yeah.
just Robert DeFelice with a sexy nude shoulder pic.
Shrugging because he doesn't know what site he's working for at the moment.
He'd show more. He would go nude for Fightful, but he wouldn't go nude for us.
Son of a bitch.
Clip it. Clip that part. I'm gonna cut that one up. I'm gonna set it over old baby.
Wow.
God love it. We've gone way too long here today.
We have nearly 2 hours.
I think we're getting punchy. Dom, sign us off, brother.
All right,
I'm
guys.
sorry if we, Marcus, I'm especially with the kids. I'm sorry if we kept you too long.
Oh, no, we're fine. My cats were disturbed, but I settled that situation down.
You broke it up. It's a pull apart brawl. All right, guys. Looking forward to checking out Revolution here. It's going to be fun, I think. Thanks for joining us all. All right. Hey, Kev, let me throw this to you.
Yo, what's
when
that?
you watch wrestling, what do you do?
Dude, Dom, we've gone through every segment. You've asked me so many questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, enjoy wrestling. That's right.